Hey YouTube, how are you guys doing? Today I'm going to be showing you one of my favorite creations. I worked on this design quite heavily for the most efficient so far that I've seen grass and twig farm. So before I show you like a guide, before I show you the guide or anything like that for this, let's take a look at the farm in action. So I'm just going to show you on my live world. Don't worry, I'm going to be resetting this back to gotta be rolling this back for when I next go live, but on Twitch. But just for display of purposes, I'm going to be showing this to you today. Beautiful. Okay, so give. So, this is the farm as an overall. It's about 2,200 pieces of grass, and or about 1,500 pieces of grass, and about 700 twigs. Let's plant it all up, and I'll show you guys it in action. It's quite finicky to plant in it. Let me swap this real quick. Wonderful. Let's skip those. And as you can see, it's half harvesting and half isn't. Some of them haven't grown yet. Let's try to skip another couple of days. There we go. So, as you can see, all of the grass is growing, being harvested by all of these lure plants, and the amount of grass and twigs you get out of this farm is insane. It's about 4,800 grass and twigs farmed all together. And I only need to read the book twice before I can grab all of the resources and go and kill all of these lure plants. So, let me show you how I make this and the whole thought process behind all of this. Just as a quick disclaimer before we get into this video, I use mods to create this. These are client-based mods. They don't affect the game in any way, shape, or form. They just help you with precision placing and displaying the locations of the eye plants, or the eye plant spawn locations. The three mods that I use are Action Q Reborn 2, Geometric Placement, and Lure Plant Farm Helper. The Lure Plant Farm Helper is created by your gate, who is also the person that helped me come up with the idea of this farm. Um, my other concern with this is, or my other disclaimer is, the farm will kill your FPS in game. I am running on a Ryzen 9 3900 and a pretty good graphics card, 2070 Super, and my frames drop to about 30 to 20 every time I enter the area of my farm. And so if you're running on a computer with slightly worse specs than these, I would highly recommend building a portion of the farm, or building it in an area that you're really not likely to visit, just to avoid these FPS drops consistently. So, grass and twig farms have been around for a long time. They're kind of like a big staple in the DST community, and essentially it's just planting some grass and twigs around a lore plant farm, and then forcefully growing these grass and twigs, continuously using Wickerbottom's applied silviculture book. Much like in this clip here, where I am growing all of these grass and these twigs in this case, using the book. After all of these are grown, after I've read the book a couple of times, I'll then harvest all of the gains, or all of the resources, by killing the lore plant itself. Here you can see I've read the book 4 times, and I've got about 3 stacks. This is pretty decent for a farm of this size, but I wanted more. I always run out of grass and twigs, and I needed more. I needed more. And so I took a little look through YouTube, trying to see if there was any other grass and twig farms out there that would really kind of suit my needs. But I really didn't find any. This cube shape was quite promising back in the day when I was just getting into grass and twigs, and DST in general. But nowadays it's just far from sufficient to sustain me. I also really dislike the amount of books that I have to read and the amount of wasted resources to get a very minuscule amount of grass and twigs every harvest. And the amount of grass and twigs used in these farms was just really inefficient. Because each lore plant can kind of bite free grass away if set up correctly. And here we're only farming 1 or 2 grass every time we grow the resources. So let me explain this point a little bit more. So after my disappointing research into YouTube grass and twig farms, I took it upon myself to do a little bit of research into the field, check out the lore plant mechanics, so I could make a grass and twig farm that suited all of my needs. It produced enough grass and twigs to cover me for a couple of years every harvest. It didn't take too much time to harvest, and it didn't waste a load of resources whilst I was trying to get a good bulk amount of grass and twigs out. And so, let me explain what I found. Lore plants, they have a preset spiral grid spawn locations. Meaning that if you place a lore plant down, around it in a spiral fashion, lore plant eyes will spawn. As you can see from this picture over here, I've got a lore plant placed here, and we've got eyes spawning, or the possible spawn locations, going out in a spiral fashion. Eye plants spawn 2 days after you've placed the lore plant itself, 2 to 3 days, depending upon the season. In winter they don't grow at all, and in summer, spring and autumn they grow perfectly fine. Eye plants spawn from the center outwards, meaning that the eye plants nearest the center are far more likely to spawn than the eye plants around the outsides. And eye plant spawn locations can be manipulated. This is the biggest factor here. This means that I can determine exactly where I want each eye plant to spawn. And this is extremely important to get even distribution of lure plants and eye plants in a big farm, so that each lure plant can fill up on grass at the same speed, so we don't have accidental deletion of resources. So, if we take a look at this lure plant, you can see that it's spawning in or the eye plants around it are going to spawn in a spiral fashion. We can stop this lure plant eye from spawning by placing a block in it, by placing anything on it, honestly. So if we go into free crafting, and we place a masonry oven here, oh my, this one won't spawn either. If we were to dig up this piece of turf, and replace this piece of turf with a man-made piece of turf, or any natural turf where world regen doesn't work, like rocky turf or desert turf, you can prevent these spawns as well. Let me just grab some turf from in this structure tab. So let's just grab like a bit of random turf. So we've got cobblestone, let's place this here. These two can't spawn anymore, let's grab some checkered flooring, place it here. This one can't spawn anymore. And it's as simple as that to manipulate their spawn locations. Urgate's mod really helps to show exactly what's happening. If we were to place this here again, you see these two over here light up. Those are the next two spawn locations that are most probable to spawn an eye plant. And then the dotted ones around the outside are further spawn locations that can spawn if you block more spots off. If you block more guaranteed spots off. So, with all this information in mind, I thought, what if we were to push the boundaries of this type of farm? Say, I found out the max length of Wickerbottom book growth radius and filled it with grass and twigs to be then farmed by lure plants. What is the amount of lure plants I should use? What is the capacity of the lure plants, aka their invent space? And how fucking long will this take me to build from scratch? And how many times would I have to read a Wicker book to fully fill each lure plant? And my main interest, how much grass and twigs would this give me per harvest? This is the main thing I was having issues with. After doing a bit of testing, I figured out that the space that Wicker's books grow in is about 7.5 tiles around her in a circular fashion. This means we have about 15 tiles of diameter to work with. This area is actually pretty friggin' huge, chat. And we're going to be filling it with grass and twigs. So, I started by grabbing some grass, going into a creative mode, and plotting out exactly the area that I can use, essentially. So, 7.5 tiles in each direction. Trying to find the middle spot of this farm here. Pretty simple. But this shows you exactly how you're going to want to fit it into a corner of your base. First, we go ahead and we place grass out in all 4 directions, north, west, south, and east. Just so we can get like a general template of the area that I want to be using. So, as you can see, I check how long each length is, and it's 7.5 each way. I keep doing this until I've got all 4 sides filled. Well, all 4 sides kind of templated out, as you can see as I'm skipping through this video. Pretty simple stuff. Very simple. This is what I would recommend you do when you're starting yours. Just plan out the area, make sure everything will fit. It won't go further than 7.5 tiles in any direction, and so just make sure you have the spacing for it in a small area of your base. As you can see, it's a freaking huge area to be filling with grass and twigs. After you've plotted out the template of your grass farm, you're going to want to connect each northwest, east, and south line of grass to one another, just so you can know the area inside the grass farm. How I went about doing this is using the following pattern. So 7, 4, 3, 2, and then a load of 1s. And this is an outline, that's the maximum length that Wicker's book will reach on an angle, essentially, that's not straight. So as you can see over here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I go back 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go back 1. I've got 3 here. Go back 1. I've got 2. Go back 1, 1, 1, all the way around. And you have to do this on each side. So as you saw here, I did this 7, 4, 3, 2 pattern here, and I have to go and now do this on this one. And once I've started doing this, it will all kind of connect into one big circle. So if I show you here, I'm now doing a load of 1s to just get both sides connected. Oh, messed up a little bit there, shovel it up, and yeah, get back to placing. This is pretty fast. It will require a decent amount of grass, but once you've got it done, you'll start seeing like a very nice outline for your grass farm. Let me skip all the way to the end just so you get to see the circle. And here you go, like a very nice circular grass farm. Everywhere around this it's 7.5 tiles. And so you can plant as much grass as you want inside this area, and Wicker's book, if you read it from the center, will be able to grow it all. If you want, you don't have to do this for one side. For one side you can, for one like northwest, east or south direction, you can have a path coming into it, just connecting straight to the center. I like to leave the center open so I have a place to stand freely and read my books. And then I have a place to like plop chests down and put all my lore plants and rotten stuff away. It makes it just a whole lot easier to kind of like handle and mess around with everything if everything's in the correct area already. Okay, so here I've skipped forward a little bit. I've fully filled in one corner of the or 1/4 of the farm, and I've dug up 8 spots. Now for this farm, I've decided that I want to use 8 lore plants. 8 lore plants, or each lore plant has 15 slots, or inventory slots it can handle. And so each lore plant can hold up to 600 grass, meaning that with 8 lore plants we can hold 4,600 grass. This is kind of, you know, far more than enough than I'll need for like a whole year, every harvest, which is insane. And so here I'll be showing you exactly how I go about designing each of these quarters with the lore plant spawn locations in mind. I would heavily recommend placing your lore plant spawn locations exactly where I've placed them, just due to the fact that you will avoid any lore plant overlapping with your or your lore plant eye overlapping with your lore plant placement location. If you place them too close, you will have some lore plant eye overlapping with your lore plant placement, and so the eye from this lore plant will kill this lore plant and then eat the lore plant itself, and you really don't want that to happen. So let's skip through a little bit. I'm just digging out all of the grass tufts that are taking up the lore plant spawn location. And then we'll be placing both the lore plants just so we can see their spawns. As you can see here, all of these spawn locations have been blocked by grass, and we're going to need to free up some of these spawn locations so that eye plants can spawn. Over here is going to be the same thing, and this lore plant over here is lore plant 1. So any lore plant eyes you see here with the little one on them, they belong to this lore plant. Thank you, Goddo Gates mod. It makes it so much nicer. And any lore plants that lore plant eyes that you see over here with a 2, they belong to the second lore plant. As you can see, no lore plant eyes from either of the lore plants can spawn naturally in each other's areas, so we're pretty safe. Over on these patches you can see the same. These areas are going to be covered in grass, only that central bit and a little bit around it will be free, and so all of these patches will be safe for me to plant lore plants on, without having to worry about lore plant eyes overlapping with the lore plant itself. So here I'm just removing this lore plant so I only get one set of lore plant eyes spawning, and first of all I'm going to I wanted to reload because of Agate's mod messing up a little bit. So let me just skip past this a little bit. So, all of the mod messing up graphics are gone. So here I'm just going to go around digging out all of the spots that I want. The way I kind of decide what spots I want are each eye plant can eat grass up to about 3 rows away, if it's right next to the grass. So this eye plant here can eat this grass here, it can eat this grass there, it can eat this grass here, it can eat this grass here, and I believe it can eat this grass here. Usually it's about 2 rows away, but if it's right up against the grass, like this one will be able to eat this, this, and this. Meaning that you don't really need that many lore plant spawn locations, so you can have really thick amounts of grass without as many lore plants. This is a slower, the lore plants will pick the grass slower, but you'll have a lot more grass/twig density, meaning that you don't need to read the book as many times and you'll get more out of each growth cycle than you would if you had more eyes. I know when Ogate makes this farm, makes these types of farms, or this farm, he uses, or he digs up more lore plant spawn locations, or eye spawn locations, just so that he can farm the farm a lot faster. I don't really mind how long it takes, it only takes a couple more seconds per harvest, and I get a lot more out of it. So, let me go ahead and show you exactly how I do this. It's very simple with the mod. You essentially just dig up every piece of grass that you see highlighted. I tend to dig all of the lore plants, all of the lore plant eyes along the borders first, just so I can line out the borders. So here I'm digging all of them inside, but on the other ones I should not dig out the border, but the border's quite easy to dig out. With this lore plant farm, because I have 8 spots, I'm gonna need to divide the lore plant farm up into, or the grass and the twigs up into 8 sections. And each lore plant is going to be responsible for 1/8 of the farm, so that each lore plant fills up at the same speed, just so they're kind of like evenly distributed and they're all responsible for the same amount of grass and twigs. This avoids me overreading books and avoids resources being wasted, essentially. So let me let this play out. As you can see, I'm now kind of digging the central line down here that is the border between this one and this one, and it makes it a lot nicer. So if you can see here, this whole section over here is already done, because these eyes, this eye here, can eat all of this grass, and then it can eat 2 rows out over here, or 3 rows out over here, right? And then this eye plant over here will cover me for this row and might eat this row as well, but it will also eat the rows out here. And then we get a free set of eye plant spawns around the outside where there's just no grass to take up the space. And so you always want eye plants around the outside of the farm that are close. You don't want them to spawn too far away, otherwise you may run out of eye plant spawns to use inside the farm. Let's skip through this a little bit. We're just kind of planning out the rest of this 8th, just so that this eye plant can fully harvest without any issues. So we're basically done with this 8th now. As you can see, there isn't really a spot where there's an eye plant that can't reach the grass. Over here, this eye plant can reach this row, and this row. Over here, this eye plant can reach this row and maybe this row. But it will also cover me for all of the grass in its little area. And all around, there's going to be very little grass mist. And if there is any grass mist, we can come back over it and dig up some extra spots, just so we can harvest all the grass. After doing this, we want to check to make sure that if we were to go and plant the eyeball, or the lure plant, in the other spot over here, we want to check to make sure that no other lure plants from this spot can spawn in any of the spots over here. As you can see, none of the lure plant's eyes can spawn in any of these spots, and so we're safe. It's perfectly fine. Now we just need to go ahead and start designing this side of it, and we should be all set. I'm just going to skip through the video here so that we can get a full quarter done of the farm, and it'll be viewable. Oh, let's see. Okay. It's quite a quick process. This will take about 10 to 15 minutes once you get into it and understand exactly what you want. What I usually do is for this outside bit, I'll usually do the line through the middle here, and then I'll do the lure plants around the lure plant eyes around the lure plant, and then I'll do a row out on this side and a row out on this side, ignoring the middle row because the eye plants can eat the middle row's stuff. This fourth, is fully finished, and there is no overlap for eye plant spawns. As you can see, ones everywhere can't spawn, but threes can in this section, and ones over here can spawn, but threes can't at all. Very nice, very quick. The main part of this farm is going to be collecting the grass. After running some checks on the amount of grass that's in this 1 quarter, I was very surprised to find that each lure plant, each 1/8 of the farm, is 300 grass or twigs. So each lure plant is responsible for 300 grass or twigs. Meaning that every time you read a book, each lure plant is going to be eating 300 grass or twigs. And each lure plant itself can only hold 600 grass or twigs. Overall, this means that you only need to read the book once, funnily enough. Because when you plant the eye plants, or lure plants, your farm will be fully grown. So you can plant the lure plants, come back 2 days later, and then read the book once and harvest. And this is insane. Reading a book once to then get 4,800 grass and twigs per harvest. It's crazy the amount of grass and twigs that this can give every time you use it. And it only needs 8 lure plants. if you want to go above and beyond, you can use 16 lore plants, or you can use like a 12 lore plant variant, where you can get far more grass and twigs every harvest, with very little difference in the amount of grass and twigs that's used in the farm, because you're just going to be replacing some of the... you're going to be placing a couple more lore plants, but you won't be destroying any more locations, or you won't be making more locations, because you're just replacing locations, essentially, for eye plants to spawn. But 4,800 grass and twigs, this is a lot. This is like a good 5 or 6 chests of... I think it's actually 2.5 chests of bundles, if I remember off the top of my head. But don't quote me on that. Do the calculations yourself. 4,800 divided by 40, divided by 4, and then divide that by 9. Whatever that gives you, that's the amount of chests that this will fill every time you harvest it. Now, I was tempted to try and build a 16 lore plant build, just for the memes and the fun of it, but it's just kind of... it's overkill. You don't need to do it. 8 lore plants is the sweet spot for this farm, just due to the placement. It's very nice to just have 1/8 of the farm, and there's no overlapping in those 1/8, thankfully. And it gives you a large amount of grass and twigs every harvest. It's perfect. Smile. Now, probably the main question you're going to ask me is, how the heck do you expect us to get 2,200 grass/twigs, or saplings, on a survival gameplay? And the answer to that is, you're going to have to mess around with the files a little bit. What I tend to do, or play in endless mode. In endless mode, once you pick up all the grass and twigs, or the naturally spawned grass and twigs off the map, they start to regenerate, and you can just go around and collect them again. But this will take a while. The way I do it, it's a lot faster, it's a lot simpler. What I tend to do is I replace my cave shard with another overground shard that has tons of resources on it. Let me show you how to do this. So, we come here, and we create a new world, right? We go into our forest, and we go to our world generation, and we say, you know what? I want insane amounts of grass, and I want insane amounts of saplings. Let's generate this world. We have to pick this, but that's fine. What we're doing here is we're kind of just generating the shard that we want to be using as our loot world, and I'm going to be showing you exactly how to do this on if you're hosting the world yourself, and or for friends. You can use this method. If you're hosting a dedicated server, it's going to be slightly different, but I think you can figure it out. You just have to go into your shard sections and shard section, save files, sorry, and replace the shards with new shards. It's the same principle for this as well. So, this is our loot world, right? Let's open the cluster 3. We've got our master and we've got our caves. Our caves are obviously not what we want. They don't have the crazy amounts of grass and the twigs. What we want is the above ground, and in this game, the above ground is called the master shard. What we want from here is we want the backup and the save files. We're going to copy these, and we're going to go to our test world, or your main world, whatever world this is. So you're going to open the cluster for this. You're going to go to caves, and before we do this, let me actually take a quick copy of this, just so we can replace it after. Let me open the cluster 3 again, master, copy, open cluster 2, and what we're going to do in here is we're just going to paste, and this will, you want to replace the files in the destination, and this is what you have to do. let's hop onto our test world, and I'll show you exactly what happens. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. This is the trick I use to farm tons of resources. I go to these loot worlds to burn forests down that I don't want to burn on my main world. I farm berry bushes, saplings, twigs, trees in general, because I turn world regrowth from my main world off so that I don't have to deal with it whilst I'm base building. But I would definitely recommend this little nifty trick. So, let's go to a cave entrance. Entrance, yep. No, not ruins, what? Cave entrance. Okay, and let's also go into free crafting, just so I can make a pickaxe. Mine, go through, and let's see exactly what happens, because usually this is a cave, right? No, we should see an overground, our loot world overground in fact, and we're right next to Dragonfly, we won't worry about that too much. As you can see as we walk around, we have tons of grass and twigs everywhere. Look at this, this is not normal. So, we can then farm all of this. Oh my god, look at this, wow. Insane amounts of grass and twigs. We can farm all of this, and then we can pop back to our main world using one of these sinkholes. Any sinkhole will work. And once we're done with this, what we do is we go back, we disconnect, we make sure we connect to the main world. Make sure you go back to your main world once you're done with farming. You go back to your main world, you disconnect, and then you go back into your caves cluster. You go ahead and delete, backup and save, and you go into your caves copy, or whatever you moved your caves to, paste these back in, and now you have your caves back. And let's host a game just to make sure, and we can test this. But yeah, this is what I would highly recommend you do. Especially if your main world, you haven't... Sorry about that. Especially on your main world, if you haven't got too many saplings, grass, if you need just extra resources in general, it's really up to you. But in survival, stuff doesn't regen, like the berry bushes, the twigs, the saplings, they don't regen. So there's nothing much we can do. Let's pop down and make sure that this is in fact our underground. But yeah, loot worlds are probably going to be the next thing. And hey, look at that, our caves are back. Easy lemon squeezy peasy. So, you guys are still here after this half-an-hour video, eh? If you enjoyed the video and you liked it, please leave a sub or a like. It's much appreciated and it helps a lot. Also, come and follow me on Twitch. I stream quite frequently. Brainiac10/twitch.tv. And I'd love to see you guys there. If you guys have any extra suggestions for any other farms I can do, leave them in the comments, and I'll definitely take a look through them. But have an amazing rest of your evenings. Sorry for the long video. It's an interesting guide, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.